Hello everyone and welcome back to this week's video. My name is Tasmia Nishat, or Smia for short, and I'm a coach and healer at Nerd for Healing. And today we're talking about how to transform the inner critic into self-compassion. So the inner critic, insecurity, beating yourself up, it can seem like it's just something that, you have to live with and, think positively to get yourself out of. I think what's helpful is actually looking at it as a survival strategy. It's actually, you're not beating yourself up because you hate yourself, although maybe on some level you do. But the deeper level is actually you're beating yourself up because almost because you love yourself, so you want to protect yourself by beating yourself up. It's kind of like there's several different reasons that are frames you can look at this. There's the classic, I'm gonna beat myself up before anyone else does, so that way I protect myself. It could be that it's a way to maintain control, like similarly to the previous example. It's like, if everything is my fault, if I'm the locus of the problems, that means I can control it. And beating oneself up, that's a way of controlling. And if you look at it from the perspective of a kid, which is where often these tendencies develop, it's like, a kid doesn't really have a frame of reference for like, oh, that person is doing that thing because they're having a bad day. Their development is oriented towards everything's about me. So if something is wrong, it must be me. I'm the problem. Although sometimes it can get reversed where it's like, basically there's a spectrum of internalizing problems, which is like the inner critic, or externalizing problems, which is like everyone else is at fault and everyone else is to blame. It's like the fawn response on one end, which is, people pleasing, you're throwing yourself under the bus for the benefit of others, over responsibilizing, versus externalizing problems, which is like the fight response and everything is everyone else's problem, and I'm gonna, react against it, and never look at like my own internal factors that are contributing to anything. So I'm obviously focusing on the end of the internalizing problem spectrum, the fawn response, like that kind of spectrum, and yeah, so I think realizing that it's actually just a protective strategy and speaking to the part of yourself that feels a need to protect oneself by criticizing oneself or being insecure or whatever, that is what will help shift it. And you might not always have this problem. It could be triggered in like certain situations. Like for me, obviously during COVID, it's like, I'm a loner anyway, so like my social skills are almost always rusty, COVID or not, but like especially during COVID, my social skills are like totally rusty. And I notice myself like, attending more events, whatever, and I'm like, oh, did I say the wrong thing, or like whatever, just kind of like second guessing myself, and I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have said that. And it's like that strategy of just kind of like questioning oneself or beating oneself up, like that's a strategy for me to like maintain acceptance and belonging. It's like, if I do that, then then that's like, if I am like overcritical of myself, then that's a way to belong so that I don't like mess up, and so I maintain acceptance and belonging. So today we're going to do a tapping to release this, as well as I'm going to introduce like Theta downloads as well. So first we'll do the EFT tapping, and then we'll do the Theta downloads. So just follow after me. If you don't know about EFT tapping, check out the intro video on my YouTube channel. So here we go. Even though I have a tendency to beat myself up and be overly critical towards myself, constantly thinking negative things about myself, like maybe that I'm a loser, that I'm not good enough, ruminating on that thing 20 years ago or 5 years ago that I shouldn't have done, just being kind of an ass towards myself and not giving myself a break. Sometimes it can seem like I have a really negative relationship towards myself, and that I don't like myself very much at all. But But even though I have this tendency to internalize the problems around me, blame myself, critique myself, not have a good relationship with myself, I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself. The truth is, even though on the surface it seems like I don't like myself, deep down, I'm doing it because I'm trying to protect myself. It's my way of being safe and maintaining control. It's an old survival strategy. So I actually do care about myself in this weird, twisted way. And I'm ready to let go of this old survival strategy. Thank it for how it served me in the past. And let it go. Replace it with self-compassion and self-acceptance. Because I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself. And I'm committing to letting go of the inner critic and turning it into the inner coach. Because I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself. I'm transforming this old survival strategy into something that's more proactive and self-constructive rather than destructive. I'm going to use my mind to build myself up rather than critique or berate myself. Because I don't need to do that anymore. And in fact, I never did. So I'm letting go of the inner critic and replacing it with self-compassion. Because I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself. Okay, finish out the tapping. Okay, so now we can do a similar thing, but we're going to do it with Theta downloads. So this one will work if you have a belief in like spirit, higher power, universe, that kind of thing. Agnostic, it might work still. So yeah, like if you're atheist or like more like secular, then EFT is still will still work for you for most people. So stick with that. And for those who wanted to do the Theta downloads, what you have to do is I'll say a belief and you just have to say yes to receive it. Okay. So if you want to release the tendency to absorb problems and blame yourself and replace it with unconditional love, then just say yes. If you want to release the idea that you have to blame and critique yourself in order to be safe and loved, then say yes. And replace it with unconditional love, then say yes. If you want to know what it's like to live while discerning what is your responsibility and what is not your responsibility, then say yes. If you want to know what it's like to know and feel what belonging and acceptance is like without beating yourself up, then say yes. And yeah, just say yes. Okay, cool. So those are some quick downloads for you. That's the first time I did it like that, so let me know how it goes for you. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you at next week's video. I'm going to do more pre-recorded, and the lives I'm going to play around with like what format I want to do lives in, so you can stay tuned for that. But yeah, every Monday generally you'll find a new video from me. So awesome. Thank you for tuning in, and catch you next week. Bye.